Hey guys, what is up? Not exactly the usual setup here. We're going through a minor change in StreamYards, so just bear with us here. We're here. That's all that matters. I'm here with my guy, Football Talk with Bo. How's it going?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How about you?
I've been better. I had a long, stressful week and a half. I'm just glad it's Sunday. We got football to talk about. I'm
Oh yeah.
all set. And normal guy is here. How you doing, man? How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. So, Bo, you know where we start. The winners from last week.
Yeah. So I mean, it's got to be the Broncos, right?
Hmm.
Like they've really come on as the season's progressed. So I like what I'm seeing out of them, and I mean, obviously they look like a team you may not want to see once the postseason starts. The Eagles, gotta like what your Eagles are doing. They look better each week as well, overcoming just dumb stuff that Sirianni does. So that's good to see. Hey,
Hey, fellas.
house.
What is up, man? How's it going?
Actually,
Oh,
really
pretty
good
good.
timing. Really good timing because my third winner is the Steelers.
I love it.
So yeah, no, they're really putting it together. They showed that they can move the offense around when the other team doesn't play defense at all. Uh, but no, it was a good win for them for sure because everybody kind of was leaning towards the Bengals for some reason. I don't know why. I took the Steelers here, but yeah, there was a lot of people taking the Bengals, and it didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, and a normal guy comes in and says Bills, Eagles, Chargers.
Okay.
Good three teams to pick there. Good three. Of course, my Eagles. I can't be mad. What about you, James?
I hate to just piggyback off of what was most recent, but I am going to say the Steelers being a winner from last week. And
Ah,
they're a winner in multiple ways, not just from getting the job done themselves and putting up a bunch of points when everybody said they couldn't do that. They're a winner for what the Eagles did to the Ravens to help them out too. So it's a double win there to get a little bit of cushion in the division in a badly needed thing because this last stretch is not easy. They still got the Eagles, Chiefs on Christmas Day, the Ravens coming up. It's brutal still. Big winner there, I would say. Beyond that, yeah, your Eagles keep on rolling, which is a little bit intimidating with them coming up on the schedule. I won't lie. And then the Chiefs keep on stacking wins too, regardless of how pretty or ugly they are. So
yeah, good ones. Nikki, how you doing, man? Good
Hey,
morning.
what's up? Morning, guys.
Hey.
Murray, Nicky.
Who are your winners, man? Winners of last week.
Winners, I'm going to go a little bit outside the box. I'll go with the Packers, even though they did lose Thursday to the Lions. But to be fair, they did put up a good game.
Yep.
And then you look at last week on Thanksgiving against the Dolphins. Jordan Love had himself a good game. Josh Jacobs had himself a solid game. And Josh Jacobs has showed he's been the difference maker in that Packers offense. So I've liked what I've seen from them, especially as the season's going along. And they've submitted their case that they could possibly win a game or two come playoff time, even if it's as a road team. So I got to take them as a winner. I'll go with the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen cementing his case for MVP status and giving the Bills hope that they could be contenders this year, maybe go for a Super Bowl run. You still got Kansas City. You say what you will about the way they play, but they've won 3 Super Bowls. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But Buffalo submitted their case as potential contenders, so there's a winner. I got to go with James' team, the Steelers. I mean, they let that game against the Browns be a thing of the past because I had them as losers after that, but they came right back. Their offense actually looked great. Granted, it was against the trash Bengals defense, but still, you put up a good fight. You won an important division game to keep momentum going, and you submit yourselves one of the top teams in the AFC, and you stay in first place in your division. The Ravens lost, but the Steelers won, so they took advantage of it.
Yep.
I would
And
say
as
the
for
Eagles,
me,
but I figured you guys were going to go there, so
yeah.
I'd
I'm
go
kind
with
of
the Packers as something different.
shocked no one picked this team. Commanders. No one picked the Commanders. I know they're against the Titans, but hey, Terry McLaurin had a game, man. There's a reason he had a thumbnail. He's on the thumbnail. So what do you have? Like 2 touchdowns in the first half, something like that. But yeah, the Commanders made a statement. They made a statement saying like we're still here, we're still viable, we're still a threat. But yeah, we're gonna go with that one. And then I'm trying to go with someone different here. You know what, Nikki, I think you went with the Bills, so I'm going to go with that as well. Josh Allen is having an incredible year right now, MVP caliber year. Even though the 49ers are pretty much done at this point with injuries after injuries after injuries. But the Bills are arguably the best team in the AFC, arguably. And then I'll go with Bo here. I'm going to go with the Broncos, actually. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Broncos. It's a 41-32 win over the Browns. They're going to be a sneaky team going forward. So I'm liking what the Broncos are doing. So, yeah. And next, we're going to start with Nikki and go the other way around. Losers of the week.
I'm going to start. I'm not going to elaborate on it because we talked about it last week, but the Chicago Bears.
We're going to talk about the Bears too. Yeah.
About Matt Eberflus about why they're losers. So that's self-explanatory. We're going to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Other losers, I got to go with the Falcons because remember they were 6-3 and they looked like they had a shot maybe at the 3 seed. Now they dropped 3 straight and I don't know what the Falcons are going to do from here. I don't even know what's going to happen with that division. The Falcons could win by default if they and the Bucs say finish 8-9 because they beat them twice, but that's still not a good way to win a division. And losing 3 straight, especially multi-pick game against the formidable team in the Chargers, that's not a good way to set momentum if you're contending for a home playoff game. So that's an L right there. Mm-hmm. And then, last but not least, I'm going to go with Bo's opponent this week, the Cardinals. You had a sizable lead on Minnesota Vikings, who, even if they have their weaknesses, they're still one of the best teams in the NFC. They could have won that game and at least gave themselves some momentum. But now, I mean, lucky for the Seahawks, all the momentum's in their favor. But from the Cardinals' point of view, that's a big L. As a former Cardinals and Vikings coach would have said, they let them off the hook.
Right.
What happened.
Right.
It looked like a month ago the Cardinals were in contention to possibly sneak a division win. Now, momentum shifted in favor of the Seahawks. So that's an L for the Cardinals, especially considering they had a good shot at winning, and they let them off the hook.
Yep. And James, how about you?
My first loser of the week is the Cowboys, and I know what you're saying, James. The Cowboys won. That's a bad thing in their situation,
right?
They should be losing to get themselves a better draft pick. So kind of goofing things up by getting a W here when your season's basically over. So that's my first team. I'm with Nikki on the Cardinals too. They've been so up and down this year. You have no clue what team you're going to get in which half of the game or which game. Are they going to be the team that puts up 35 or 40 points, or are they just going to completely lay a goose egg? You got no clue what's going on out there. They got to figure that stuff out and get a little bit more even keel on their performances. And then a final one. Let's go Carolina. Why not? Let's kick them while they're down.
I like that. I like that one. All right, Bo.
I like that you're just piling on Carolina for no reason. So my first one's going to be the 49ers. And it's even worse moving forward because CMC hits IR. So does Mason. Ooh. So they don't have a running back at this point. So their season effectively is over. And so they're probably the biggest loser there, not just because of the loss, but because they were losing players on top of it on a roster that was already depleted with injuries anyway. Then it's going to be the Bengals wasting Burrow in the way of, if he was on a winning team right now, he'd be the front runner for the MVP. If you look at his stats, absolutely killing it. And, they're putting up over 30 points a game, and that defense is putting up just a couple more points than that. So, they are completely wasting a great year from Burrow. And if you've watched Burrow, he's going to be hurt next year. So, they're not going to do anything next year either. You feel bad for Bengals fans. And then the Jets. You can't beat the Seahawks with 3 consecutive fumbled kickoffs, 2 of which you get, is wild to me. So, talk about a dumpster fire of an organization that can't figure out how to do anything. You had a Seahawks team that was practically giving them a win, and they still catch an L, which I appreciate. But when it comes to football, a horrible look.
Yeah. So for me, you know what? I'm thinking about. No, we're gonna talk about this topic a little bit later. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys, but I'm gonna agree with James here. They can't tank right. Like, how is it even possible? They just can't tank right. The Giants, for being the Giants, and you know what? This is where I'm stuck. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs here. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. They won 19-17 against the Raiders, though. They only won by 2 against the freaking Raiders, and I don't know. Something's wrong with the Chiefs, man. They always are winning like very, very close games. They're not blowing anyone out. So that way, I think Buffalo can actually beat them in the playoffs. I know it's against Patrick Mahomes. Never go against Patrick Mahomes, but I just got that feeling. I think the Bills should take it this year in the playoffs against the Chiefs. So, yeah. And then now Nikki brought this guy up. Let's talk about it. Matt Eberflus gets fired. So, Nikki, since you brought it up, let's start off with you.
Overdue. I'll start with that because we saw their team record with him as the coach.
Right.
Clearly, it was obvious he was not qualified. But then, first up, you talk about the decision. We talked about that. It was stupid. And then his response trying to defend himself made him come across as a total hack who refused to accept accountability for his dumb decision making. He's like, I can't, kind of paraphrasing, like, I like the idea, I like the execution. You only call a timeout if it's under 12. Well, the game clock did get under 12, and you still didn't call a timeout. So you're contradicting your own claim to defend yourself. And then he tries to say, well, the idea was good, we just didn't execute. First off, the idea was horrific. Number one, I'm not even going to get into the result. The idea was horrific. I'm like, this guy just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
And Stephen A. rightfully roasted him. Like, but yeah, the crazy part is it took that for the team to realize they had to fire him. And I feel like in part it's because it was such a bad look that they did it as kind of a PR move or damage control move was what they did. But the damage has already been done. You had the offseason to find a new head coach and start it over again. But they waited till PR disaster hit him on a national stage on Thanksgiving, and then they decide, okay, let's fire him. Let's try to do something.
Mm-hmm. James.
Yeah, what a just complete failure of managing the end of the game there, you know. And the crazy thing about it is I caught like the end of this game, and I'm seeing Caleb Williams really looking composed and making a lot of good throws and moving in the pocket well. And I'm like, man, this kid might have it. And then the time that he needs his coach to bail him out and just put 2 hands together and call a timeout, he refuses to do it, you know. Yeah. And I really feel like Caleb could have made it happen in that drive. He had the momentum. He was making all the throws. He just needed his coach to bail him out with a timeout. And when you can't figure out that you've got 30 seconds left on the clock and all of it's just going to be gone because you refuse to call your timeout, come on, man. Like, I don't care what your official stance is on it at that point of not calling your timeout until 12 seconds. Like, you needed to call it to bail your team out. They're in complete disarray after that play. They didn't know what to do. They didn't get to the line very quickly. They didn't get the call in quickly. Everything about the process was bad, and he needed to call a timeout just to get things under control again.
Yeah, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, this is a year later than it should have happened anyway. Him and Dennis Allen should have been fired at the end of last season. But the thing that was unique here is the Bears have never fired a coach mid-season. And they probably weren't going to until he comes out and completely, like, you have 32 seconds, you can't figure out how to run more than one play is wild to me.
Yeah.
And so for then him to come out in a presser and be like, yeah, no, we made the right decision. That's exactly what we should have done. Yeah, you're getting fired. Like, you can come out completely just shit the bed and then be like, yeah, no, I like laying in that. Like, you can't do that. So at the end of the day, it needed to happen. It should have happened a long time ago. Will the Bears be? I mean, who knows? It's the Bears. Probably not. But,
No.
at the same time, at least they finally moved on.
Yep.
He
So-
took a heck of a time to double down on his no regrets, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a couple things to say here. One, they did it after the press conference. They did it right after the press conference.
I love
They
it.
were talking about next week.
Incompetence.
It's,
And then
it's
I'm going-
because of his response. I don't think they were planning on firing him until he was like, yeah, no, we did all the right things. They're like, yeah, okay, you got to go, dude. You're like, you can't say that.
Yeah, and then the owners just gotta go. Like, the owners have to go. It's never gonna happen. But start somewhere, and Matt Eberflus is gone. I just laugh at this whole thing. When I was watching that unfold, I'm like, is this really happening? Like, is this really happening? I'm watching the clock go down, and I'm like, wait, kids on Madden know how to call a timeout here. I mean, come on. Dang, but yeah. Now, James, I'm gonna start with you on this one. How do you feel about his head on Trevor Lawrence?
No, that was ugly, man. There's not a lot of times where I look at a hit and I can't say, oh, well, maybe he had time to decide or the slide was too late or no, this was just ugly. I don't know how we didn't end up with an all-out brawl on the field after that. Because if I'm an offensive lineman and somebody hits my quarterback like that and he's laying on the ground and can't even move, I'm going full Marquise Pouncey on him.
Right.
So, completely ugly. 3 games probably is not enough for that kind of dirty hit.
Yeah, crazy. Bo.
Yeah, well, especially because he has a history of some of this as well, right?
Yeah.
And, as far as him not pulling off the hit, the slide was a little late. So I could have
Yeah.
gave him a little bit for that, but it was leading with the forearm straight to the face. It was like, okay, I mean, you're trying to do that,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you started your dive and he slid a little late, I'm fine with that 15-yarder because quarterbacks push that boundary a lot, right? So I don't feel bad for a quarterback getting blown up a little bit because he decided to take an extra step when he knows he's going to get that 15-yarder. You deserve to be punished for that a little bit. That being said, the forearm to the face, that's you're trying to make that hit. And I mean, because you can't stop a body flying, but you can certainly move your arm, right?
Yeah.
So he could have pulled the arm out and then tried to push off him kind of thing. You still get the 15-yarder, but you don't get the suspension. You probably don't knock him out of the game, stuff like that. So it's a terrible look. It's a bad hit, and it's a history of what he has. In fact, the VP came out and with a statement that, essentially said, what you did there isn't anything that people that play, that coach, that view want to see. Paraphrasing, obviously.
Right. Nikki.
I mean, yeah, it was a dirty hit, obviously. I mean, I understand what they're doing. It's like 3 games. I mean, for someone who has a history, that's a little bit lenient. Because remember with Vontaze Burfict, what happened with him? He had a history, and then finally the Raiders he got suspended for a whole season. Then the rest of the teams were just like, we're not going to take on this baggage if he can't stay on the field because he's always getting suspended. I mean, this could be starting to go down a similar trend. So I'm surprised. I'm like, that's it? 3 games?
Well, he hasn't been suspended before, though.
Okay,
as I recall.
Okay.
So I think that's why it wasn't a longer, right? Like I think he's been fined before, but I don't think he's had a suspension before. So I think that's why it was what it was, because there wasn't really a precedent set yet. Whereas like what Sue, I think, got suspended, but it took him a few times of dirty play to finally get there. I think the first time he got suspended was when he stomped on somebody, right? So,
Yeah.
I think that's what happened here is just because he hasn't been suspended before for this.
So right. I mean, you would hope that at least this suspension would at least help him learn a little bit, make him realize, okay. But if he doesn't, then eventually you gotta up it. You gotta bring if this next time you'd have to bring it up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we gave you a soft suspension for it's kind of like we're trying to warn you, but now we're gonna be strict about it. Next time could be for like majority or for a whole season if it continues. I mean, for now, this is okay, let's see if he takes the warning. Let's see. Hope he learns, but that remains to be determined.
Yeah. So, as for me, he had to know where he was going to be. You just don't, get ready for a hit like that as he's sliding, bam. I'm like, wow. It was a scary moment. We've seen players get seriously injured after this. Personally, I'm not a fan of Trevor Lawrence. I never liked his game or whatever, but I don't want to see him go down like that. I don't want to see anyone go down like that, and it's scary, man. It was definitely scary. Yep. All right, we're going to start off with Bo on this one and go around. Any breakout players you think will step up in this game for any team? Any team.
I was like, which game?
I know. I had a long week.
Actually, the thing that I'm going to be watching pretty closely now, because it really is kind of neck and neck, is the Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix offensive rookie of the year race. Obviously Daniels came out the gate and was dominating it, but with the game kind of sliding away from that team the last few weeks, even in the win this last week, wasn't a great win, right? Whereas you look at Bo Nix and the Broncos, they have really gotten better each week as the game has gone on, as the season has gone on, I should say. So watching that offensive rookie of the year race is going to be kind of fun because it's really up in the air. Either one of them wins right now, and you're like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. James, any breakout players you can see for this weekend, for the Sunday football?
I do have one for you. Yeah. Big thing for Pittsburgh specifically. George Pickens came up with a hamstring on Friday's practice. Was fine all week long, was only limited on Friday. If he misses any significant amount of time, that means a drastically increased role for Calvin Austin III and Mike Williams. So Mike Williams has not really been used other than one game-winning touchdown catch so far since they traded for him. Calvin Austin has had some moments here and there. I would look for them to really push it to Calvin Austin a ton in this game with his speed advantage versus the corners and a safety group that's not that great in Cleveland. But Calvin Austin, I think, is your guy this week.
All right. Nikki.
It could go several directions in this one.
Right. That was the whole thing. I want to see.
Right. Literally, here I'm thinking,
maybe even though the Falcons have been struggling, Kirk Cousins could have himself a solid day because this is his former team and he knows Brian Flores' defense. So he could have a rebound game here just by proxy of hey, he's against a familiar team. He knows their game. So don't be surprised if Cousins has himself a decent game against the Vikings by that terms of situation. But on the flip side, the Vikings defense could have themselves a good day because they know Cousins well. So that's an interesting matchup there that could go either way in favorable both sides. I mean, get them. Mac Jones would be I don't know. I don't expect much from him. Trevor Lawrence is out for the year.
Yeah.
Obviously. And he was at least better than Mac Jones, so that's not
Yeah.
optimistic. You know who could have himself a good day? Zach Bond for the Eagles.
I was just about to say that.
Think about it, because he's been kind of slept on throughout the whole season. He's been one of the main guys on that defense, and here you are going against the Carolina Panthers team. That's a favorable matchup for Bond to feast, have himself a great day, maybe even get an NFC Defensive Player of the Week, maybe.
Yeah. I had a hot take where he was going to have 13 tackles today. I'm like, that's looking pretty good against the Panthers right now. But one of my friends has sent me something that Vikings have announced they're letting Sam Darnold walk in the offseason. It'll be JJ McCarthy and maybe Daniel Jones next year.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel. You just brought him in and now you're going to let him go. I mean, I get for McCarthy and everything, but
No, it actually makes sense though, because you're going to get Daniel Jones for nothing. Whereas Sam Darnold play well enough that someone's going to give him some money to come play. Even if he's just a bridge guy, someone's going to give him 20 mil to come play. Whereas Daniel Jones still has some time left that like they have the out, obviously, which is why they moved off him, but they're still on the hook for a little bit. So you'll be able to get Daniel Jones relatively cheap.
yeah, it's crazy. James, what do you think about this?
I think this too could be one of those things where, you know, some GMs and some organizations look at the compensatory formula, and that's a very big factor for them on how they make off-season moves. Obviously, you're already planning on going forward with J.J. McCarthy, or you wouldn't have drafted him. It's, you know, there was enough really good games out of Sam Darnold that most of us did not see coming. I know I didn't see it coming. I've been dogging him all season.
Right.
But he's more often than not made me look pretty foolish in my takes on him. And somebody's going to pay him. I agree with Bo. I think 20 is like the minimum. I could see him even getting up to 30 million a year from someone who just doesn't have a good quarterback situation. Maybe even Carolina. Who knows?
I was gonna say the Giants. I was gonna say the Giants.
It could just be a swap. But you know, if a guy gets paid that much, you're looking at a third round pick in the compensatory formula for that. Assuming that you're not making a move corresponding to counteract it. That's a pretty important thing. You can get a starter in the third round. So not a bad move if you already got two guys on the roster that you have confidence in.
Mm-hmm. Nikki, how do you feel about this with Sam Darnold possibly leaving at the end of the year?
I mean, after all, he was on a backup deal, and J.J. McCarthy was slated to be the starter this season, but the injury forced the Vikings to change plans. So it's really not much of a surprise since he was a temporary guy anyway. Now, with that being said, has his value increased? Yes, it has. But at the same time, I'm like, to me, this seems like a one-year deal, because if he goes to a team like the Panthers, or reunites with the Panthers, I should say, he's not going to have the same success he had with the Vikings, or if he goes to the Giants, that's not going to happen.
No.
He's in a favorable situation in Minnesota. So I just see this as hey, at least he had one solid year type of deal. I just get that gut feeling we'll be looking back on this a few years from now and saying, hey, at least Sam Darnold had one good season that year he filled in for J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
But
This is how.
Hey, he was on a short-term deal anyway, so not really surprised by it.
This is how I feel about it. What is Justin Jefferson thinking? How many quarterbacks has this guy had? How many? What was it, like a couple? Like, this guy can't get a steady quarterback, and he's still the best wide receiver in football. So for me, I'm thinking about him. I'm thinking about Addison. I'm thinking about those wide receivers. Because if they don't get a good quarterback, they're not going to get the ball. Jefferson would definitely get the ball, but I'm just saying. It's like, oh, and I forgot to say who's going to be my breakout player. Oh, God. Like, this is tough. I don't want to go with the Eagles, but I'm going to say Quinyon Mitchell. I know he's been a lockdown corner, but I feel like he'll get one interception so far. I don't think he's got one, right, Nikki? He doesn't even have one yet?
Not that I know of. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah. I don't think he even has a pick. He's locked down the best wide receivers in the game, like Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, and everything. Against Bryce Young and the Panthers, this is the perfect time for him to get a pick. And I'm not just saying that because my name is Mitchell also. I'm not saying that.
You know,
But,
Sat. You know INTs.
no interceptions, so there you go. There you go. I'm going to go with Quinion Mitchell here. All right. Now, oh my God, don't show this tip. I hate new StreamYards. All right, guys, here are the predictions for this weekend. I know it's a different format. The pick'ems are not working or something. I don't know why. But, yep, here we go. We're going to start off with Nikki and go up. Jacksonville at Tennessee.
I'll go. It's a coin flip, but I'll say Tennessee. I mean, you already saw the Jaguars struggling with Trevor Lawrence. Now you're downgrading to a lesser version of him from the 2021 draft class.
Yeah.
And you can barely win any games. Not that the Titans are that much better,
Yeah.
but I'll just say this. Jacksonville wins the tank, so give me Tennessee to win the game.
All right. James.
Yeah, in the battle of the basement, I'm also going with the Titans on this one, which is just going to hurt them into getting a worse pick at this stage of the game. But I don't know how Jacksonville's going to do anything now without Trevor Lawrence.
Nope. Bo.
Yeah, I mean the Titans have one of the top 3 defenses in the league against a team that doesn't play defense and doesn't have a quarterback. This seems like an easy pick. Titans win this one.
Yep, I got the Titans as well. By the way, Titans, thank you for A.J. Brown. I just got to say thank you every single time I see your name. Jets at the Dolphins. I'm going to go with Miami here. The Jets have been like, what is the word? Dysfunctional. So Miami has been a little bit better since they got Tua back, but I'm still going to go with Miami. Bo.
Yeah. I'll add another adjective for the Jets. They're abysmal.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Miami as well. I don't trust the Jets to win another game, really.
No. James.
This is a fun game. I'm going to go with laughing stock for the Jets. And I'm also going to go Dolphins with the win, and I think in an easy fashion.
Nikki.
I'll go with the Dolphins in this one. I mean, Dolphins are already a better team, and it's in the warm weather, which is where they play better, or warmer weather at least. Yeah, give me the Dolphins next.
All right. Falcons at the Vikings, Nikki.
I'm going to go, even though I said this could be a competitive matchup, I'm still going to go with the Vikings in this one.
Yep. Right there with you. James.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Vikings. I don't think this is going to be a real tough one. We're going to say that your fail cons go down.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. There you go. Bo.
Yeah, I'm with the rest of the panel. I'm taking the Vikings here. I don't trust the Falcons. Like they have weeks where they look really good. They have weeks where they look really bad. The one thing we can say about the Vikings, they've been really consistent.
Uh-huh. All right. So for me, I got the Vikings, pretty self-explanatory. Then we got the Saints. All right. Is anyone picking the Giants?
No.
No.
No. But if you're talking about to win the tank, then yes.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Is anyone going Panthers?
No way.
No.
No.
Anyone going Browns?
No.
No.
Okay. Anyone going Raiders?
No, this was a really easy week to pick, really.
No.
Right? And after last week, I got a perfect week last week. And I
Nice.
forgot to pick for the Thursday night game, so I got one game wrong already. I'm like, damn. But so no one picking Raiders?
No.
Nope.
No.
Seattle versus Arizona. I'm gonna go with Bo. I'm gonna go with Seattle here. Bo, how do you feel about this?
So I felt more confident about it until this morning when we realized that Kenneth Walker isn't playing.
Oh,
So that makes this a much more competitive game. Plus, it's in Arizona. This one could go either way. I'm still riding with the Seahawks here just because Arizona is struggling a little bit over the last couple of weeks. But I have Seattle winning, but it's not a confident pick.
James.
Yeah, I think that the Cardinals are just too inconsistent to have any faith in them at this point. So I'm going to go Seahawks with Bo here.
Nikki.
I'll go with the Seahawks as well.
Clean sweep. All right, Nikki. The Bills at the Rams.
Pick Buffalo.
Anyone going Rams?
No.
No.
All right. This game is kind of interesting, though. This next one. The Bears at the Niners. I don't
It's-
know who to go with.
So this one's not interesting though. Because of all of the injuries for San Fran.
Right.
I mean, I feel like the Panthers could probably beat San Fran this week.
You mean Chicago?
No. I mean, literally, the worst team in the league could beat San Fran this week. So I'm going with the Bears here because the Niners don't have a running back. Their whole offense is triggered off of their running back play. So yeah, they're about to struggle.
James.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on this. Plus, the Bears get the 1-game bump from your interim head coach, which the first game is usually really good for that team, regardless of how bad they are. But I don't think Caleb Williams is all that bad. So I think the Bears probably win easier than we realized today against the Niners.
All right. Nikki.
I'll take the Bears.
All right. Nikki, right back at you. Chargers, Chiefs.
I gotta go with Kansas City. I've yet to see the Chargers win a big game, and I'm not buying into it till it happens.
All right. James.
I would love to see the Chargers beat the Chiefs just to make things a little easier for Pittsburgh. But I also don't have faith in them to pull it off. I'm going to stick with the Chiefs on this.
All right. Bo.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. And I'm kind of with everybody else. I'd love to see the Chargers pull it out. But for whatever reason, KC finds a way to win these battles, right? Even when they're playing terrible, they seem to find a way. They either get a lucky break, a lucky call, just something falls in their lap. And sadly for Charger fans, I think that's going to happen again. They don't say the Chargers Charger in it for nothing.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs because they have the refs on their side. I'm just going to go with the Chiefs here. So I think they're paying someone for the little, And then last game, Bengals at the Cowboys. I'm going Bengals here. Anyone going Dallas?
I'm going with this should have been flexed for a good game.
Okay. That is fair. That is fair. What game do you think should have been flexed to that spot? The Chargers and Chiefs?
Well, no, because that's already a primetime game.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
I mean, there wasn't really good games. Honestly, you probably should have thrown maybe Seattle, Arizona, because that's for the lead of the division.
Maybe Falcons, Vikings.
Maybe Falcons, Vikings. Yeah, no, I could get into that. But yeah, there's just not a lot of good games. In our Pick'em Championship,
Yeah.
the top, I want to say it's the top 9 have the exact same picks across the board this week.
Oh, wow.
Because of what we just saw. Like, how many things did we disagree on?
Yeah, like nothing.
On the panel today.
Like
None.
none. That was like the same thing last week too. Like
Yeah.
whenever Nikki and I were doing pick'ems for the Hardcore Sports Network, we're like, it's the same teams. We're picking the same teams each time.
Yeah.
It's just like it's ridiculous.
Well, and a lot of people did really good last week. Well, like I went 15-1 just because I thought the Ravens might pull it off at home. But there was 6 of us that went 15-1 last week.
Yeah, crazy.
I was like 15-1, cool. I should be able to make up a couple games or something. No,
Nope.
no.
And speaking of pick'ems, you can tune into the NFL pick'ems every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock on the Hardcore Sports Network with my man Nikki Thies being the host there. So if anyone from Hardcore Sports wants to hop on and make some picks with Nikki, you're more than welcome to. Isn't that right, Nikki?
That's right. 8 p.m. every Wednesday. We're dropping it. It's been a few weeks since we've had anyone actually join through StreamYard, but if you want to come through Wednesday night, give me your picks.
I might be
Feel
able
free
to.
do so.
I might be able to. I think I might join you this week, Nikki. I'm really thinking about it because no basketball for me. Like, I'm not really streaming basketball this week. So, Nikki, I'm going to join you on Wednesday night.
All right,
So
cool.
I will be there. I'll get a couple more people to join us. So it'll be fun. And yes, guys, make sure you follow everyone on this panel. Bo, where can they find you at?
Yes, you can find me right there on the screen at Football-Talk. That's my YouTube channel. All the socials, Football Talk with Bo, and of course, Roku TV 5 days a week.
All right, James.
Steelers by the Lake on YouTube, on Twitter, TikTok. Take your pick. It's the same handle on all of them.
All right, and Nikki.
You can find me via YouTube and Twitter. YouTube, my channel, Nikki Stees, with the Eagles and Sixers logos on it. We'll be doing some live streams, recapping and previewing Eagles games. Pick and Roll podcast every Wednesday with Mitch.
Yep.
Blaze Radio, Rios Just Fans podcast, as well as some YouTube shorts, maybe a reaction video or two. And you can find me on Twitter. I'll put the link to it in the chat.
All right, that sounds good. That sounds good. And there's Nikki's Twitter. If you guys want to go follow him on X, please do so. And you guys can find me right here on the Hardcore Sports Network, Steampunk Entertainment, Mitch Choxy, my second channel, MK Meets World. And yeah, guys, we'll catch you all next week. Everyone have a good rest of your Sunday. Let's go Birds. Let's go Birds, man. We need to win.